Oh my God, he's gonna go on a trans rant. Oh my God. I saw this drop today, dude. I saw this drop today and I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
How long are you married?
I have been married for 14 years.
Good.
Yes.
Is this your second marriage?
Well, who counts? Numbers.
Of all the people, Trump's like, I don't know.
Let's not get, all right, you can cut that part out. This sounds like it's going to get a little bit too
I think, I think you can relate. Like, we both have kind of maybe outkicked our coverage.
Look at that glaze in his eyes. He's ready to go. He's just like, Mr. President. Let me just kiss you on your tiny fingers.
The last time I saw you was at...
Real quick, before we get into this, I just want to say, what is this room? Like, this is not an Undertaker-esque room. This is like a nice lobby of a hotel. And then they just slap their, like, I don't know, that 6-packs, I think they're like seltzers or whatever, just around, or 12 packs of seltzers just around. That's a weird set you got there, Undertaker, but let's get into it.
WrestleMania 29 at MetLife.
Right.
You were, I have to kind of apologize.
Right.
You were there. My family was there.
Right.
And they'd come to you and asked if you would move one row back so that my family could come watch my match.
Oh, yes.
And you were gracious enough.
But I did it.
You did. You were gracious enough to
The Undertaker feeling like he has to apologize to let his family sit where Donald Trump, the businessman / reality TV star, was sitting. Like, that's where we're starting off with the Undertaker glaze. Let me apologize to you, first of all. My family wanted to sit close to the ring and watch me wrestle, and I asked you to move, and I just wanted to apologize for that.
To move back. Well, the problem was, I was like, there's an iconic picture.
Right.
Of I'm actually laid out on a table and CM Punk's about to drop an elbow on me.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture, and one of my dearest, closest friends was sitting with my family. His name's David. He works for Georgia Pacific.
Right.
And I'm looking at this picture, and I see him, and then I can see you trying to peek. He's got an enormous head.
Right.
And I could see, I could see you trying to peek around him, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? You couldn't squat down enough so Mr. Trump could see the match." But anyway, I have to apologize for the enormity of my.
Chatter here says, I don't understand why people so care much about what celebrities think or who they vote for. You know what? Typically, people don't. There must be something different about this candidate, and I can't quite January 6th it, put my finger on it, on why a lot of people might be upset about the Undertaker endorsing a candidate. Maybe specifically this candidate. Chatter says, James in the chat says, the Undertaker is uncharismatic. Dude's got no more juice left. He's sauceless here. Look at him. Look at his eyes. He's like, it's the president.
One of my closest friends' heads.
Well, the big thing, we had the Battle of the Billionaires.
No, it's the Undertaker,
and that was
bro.
with Vince and me, and we each had our wrestler. He had Umaga.
Yeah, Umaga.
We had two good guys, and they wrestled, and fortunately, my guy won, and the loser had the hair shaved.
He doesn't even remember his own guy.
Hair shaved. But we actually
Bobby Lashley
wrestled a little bit. You
mixed it up a little bit.
It was a pretty famous thing.
Ethan in the chat says, "Oh, but he can pronounce Umaga." Dude, yeah, he's like, "Come blah blah, Kamala." He can't get Kamala out, but he can get Umaga, and he can't get Bobby Lashley, his own guy. Bobby can't get the rub from the president. Yeah, I know.
But I think it has your all-time record for
pay-per-view buys,
for everything.
Yeah, it was a huge event.
Yeah, it was a big one. But you went down just before me, and the entrance into the ring is
Ethan.
the greatest entrance into any arena that I've seen. Okay, and I don't think it's going to even be topped. The whole thing of the music, the whole deal. And by the way, he's a dynamic guy. When he does this, he's very, slow and easy, and So you're supposed to act, well, you're supposed to be a dead man. So, you're acting sort of dead.
Yeah.
And it's one of the greats. And that's why I'm surprised, because you're a quick guy. You move quick. But in the ring, he just sort of moved around. And you left just before us. And the place was going crazy. I said, that's a very tough act to follow. I'm not sure. And I didn't realize how big you were. I figured you were big, but not that big. So I'm standing with Vince, and they had other wrestlers in the room. It's like essentially the green room,
Right.
up high.
Right.
And you walked by me and said, hello, sir. And I said, this guy is really big. How tall are you, by the way?
Right now, probably I've lost a little bit through the years, but I'm right at 6'8".
6'8".
Yeah, my disc have been a little bit compressed through the years.
You get compressed. Well, that's normal. They say you get compressed and your feet get bigger. Did you ever hear that?
Well, I've always had big feet. Yeah, my dad used to. Yeah, my dad used to tell me. He said, "You'd have been tall, boy, if you hadn't to give up so much for foundation."
That's right.
So,
but I said, this guy is really big, and you were wrestling a good guy that night. Do you remember?
I do remember.
He was a good specimen guy, and it was great. But I said, how do we beat this, Vince? What are you doing? Why don't we?
Wait, wasn't he wrestling CM Punk? He said a great specimen. He called CM Punk a great specimen.
We go before them. We should go before them. But we had that was a great evening, and I think it said, I don't know if it still has. It still has your record.
It was it was a big night.
Oh, it was Batista.
It was in Detroit. Yeah, and
well, I have a son who's 6'9". Can you imagine? I have a son who's an inch taller than if you say. So you were probably at super height, 6'9".
Yeah, I was probably
6'9".
right there at 6'9".
So 6'9", like 360.
330. I kind of topped out at 330. That was I felt like that was my.
And what do you weigh now?
I'm probably 305 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not bad, right?
No, it's easier. I'm trying not to replace any more joints. So.
As a wrestler, you really lose a lot of joints, don't you? You really have.
Yeah, I mean, the body's not made to take that on and then most people don't realize the schedule that we kept back then too.
Chat. Ethan in the chat saying WrestleMania 29 card. Hold on. Was the Undertaker wrestling? Hold on. Who was the Undertaker? Was he wrestling Dave Batista? Was that who he's wrestling? No, defeats CM Punk. Yeah. He said WrestleMania 29, I thought. He asked about 23? Oh. I thought he's talking about 29. Oh, the Battle of the Billionaires was in 23, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so he was... Oh, okay, so WrestleMania 23. Hold on. So WrestleMania 23. When they're talking about the Battle of the Billionaires and he's wrestling... Did he really? Did he call him? Oh, God, he did! That's so funny. He was like, oh man, what a specimen of a guy. Yeah, that guy just also, I think said you have, your stomach looks like a bag of buttermilk.
Was on the road over 200 days a year, and that's in the ring.
I think they were talking about both.
So I've always wondered, because it's whether it's, fun or, entertainment, or you're still getting slammed around, right?
Yeah.
Does that ring take great absorption? In other words...
Well, it's funny that when Vince started getting in the ring and mixing it up a little bit, the rings got a little bit softer.
Yeah, right.
Before that, it would be just like taking a fall on this floor. I mean, they were really hard.
Well, how did you do that? So that was That's a
it's a crazy thing, and you just condition your body to it, where you don't even, after you do it so much, you just don't even think about it.
How often did it? I mean, I know you're supposed to interview me, but I find it very interesting. How often did?
That's what's going to be so funny about this. I know the Undertaker is supposed to be interviewing Donald Trump, but he is literally like, Donald Trump is like, I get to be next to wrestlers. And if there's one thing that Donald Trump loves in this world more than overthrowing the government, it's professional wrestling. He did, they had a few pay-per-views at his casinos before they filed for bankruptcy, which, how do you bankrupt a casino? That's literally the license to print money. I digress. But the Undertaker, him sitting here with the Undertaker, he's literally like, I watched you on television. He's like most wrestling fans if they were in front of the Undertaker. Yeah, James is right. Trump just loves theater. Whether it's the fan of the opera, whether it's professional wrestling, the dude's a little zesty, and we know that. That's okay. He's the zesty king.
Did it happen where somebody gets really angry? In other words, you hit a guy accidentally the wrong way or something, and he's had it. And these are tough guys to start off with. They're not babies. How often did it happen where you're fighting somebody and you made a mistake and and he ges angry and he really goes at you.
Yeah, back in the day, like, so I started with Vince in 1990, but before that, in the late 80s and stuff like that, guys were really salty. And they didn't take too many. You're supposed to be a professional, and usually guys would. You think, well, if he hit me like that, then it's for a reason. So they'd mix it up in the ring for a little bit, and then they'd get back in the locker room.
And what would happen? The guys would run into the ring and stop it, right? I was told when you had a lot of guys running into the ring, that usually meant that.
I love the fact that Trump was like, if it becomes a shoot, people like get in there and break it up, right? Like, he has a childlike understanding of the professional wrestling business. This is why this man can't be president.
It was a problem.
Usually, when that happens, it's part of the show. When guys are actually
what stops somebody from going nuts and really, really starting a real fight?
Yeah, probably losing a job. Yeah, I mean, you have to. What we do is hard enough, but if you go in there and start taking liberties with somebody and are starting trouble and having fights, you're not going to be around long. I mean, you have to have a cohesive unit of guys. You don't have to like each other. I think it's like politics. You don't have to like each other, but you have to be professional enough to work with each other.
Did you like some of these guys a lot, or not really?
Yes, no, a lot of the guys.
He's asking Trump. He's like, or Undertaker saying, well, you got to be a professional with these people. It's like politics, likening it to something that Trump knows a little bit about. And Trump's like, yeah, but do you actually like these people? Like he hates these people so much. He's like, I don't know about that. I think you secretly hate them, just as I publicly hate them.
Guys, I'm really close with, and then there's some guys that I don't care much for, but it's kind of like the way I wish politics would get back to.
Yeah.
I may not agree with you, but I can share a dressing room with you. I can shake your hand, and we can do business. And that's how it is. There's some guys that you kind of naturally you gravitate towards and become friends with. And I had a group of guys that we ran.
So how many years have you done it?
So I had a in-ring career of right at 35 years.
I mean, that's amazing. And you're still in one piece, right?
I'm in one piece. I got some new parts. I got some new knees. I got new hips.
Does every wrestler end up essentially having to get new parts?
At some point, usually, you're going to have something that needs to be replaced. There's very few guys that get out unscathed. And, that's...
You ever get hurt so badly that you basically can't continue the match and you got to be, like, literally helped out and carried out?
God, bro's got no juice.
It happens, and it's just part of... What most people don't realize, Mr. President, is that although we're entertainment, but in any given match... You're 2 inches away from something really catastrophic happening.
Absolutely.
And then when you figure the amount of dates per year that you work, I mean, that really goes up exponentially. The risk factor.
So you'd work 200 days a year.
I had an 8-year stretch where I averaged about 220 dates a year.
And that you can just keep going.
You just kind of get in that zone. Your body kind of gets used to the trauma, and you don't feel right. Actually, if you go home for too long, you kind of get restless, and your body feels too good, and you think, I got to go back to work.
That's great. Well, you had a great career. Fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do.
People love you. That's why. So I heard they said, and I heard you were a fan. I don't want to say, but I heard you were like a political fan of mine, and I appreciated that. But I said he was such an incredible athlete entertainer, because it's an entertainer. You have a lot of great athletes that can't entertain. You might as well forget it in your sport, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's what most people don't really grasp. I mean, you can be a great athlete and not excel. You've got to have the whole package. You have to basically, and I think you've been a master of this. You got to make.
Is this the first time not a sitting president? He is sitting down, but he's not the sitting president. It's the first time a former president has been interviewed by somebody with a beanie on.
People care. You got to make them care one way or another.
Surrounded by
either they love you or they hate you.
So who do you think, outside of you, who do you think was the greatest combination of athlete, entertainer, et cetera, et cetera? Who was the greatest of the couple of greatest that you've seen?
My goodness, there's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
He was up there. You'd have to put Hulk Hogan in there,
Right.
And Ric Flair.
They did used to be coworkers.
Those are guys that just kind of off the top
like
of
a
my
couple
head
weeks.
could captivate you with what they had to say, deliver a performance in the ring, and then.
Now you were much too young. Haystacks Calhoun, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? Did you ever? You
He was
were
bringing
too
out
young.
old
Yeah,
references.
I think a little before my time.
But he weighed like 500 and
He
something.
was a big man.
He was,
He was a big man.
he was a big one.
Yeah.
Let's see. You had a lot of beauties out there.
I had my share of giants. That Vince used to feed them all to me when I first came up. Like
Yeah.
if there was a giant, there was a monster.
Right.
They were coming my way first, and
Trump loves wrestling.
If I could
dude.
work
He's just
with
like
him,
he's
then
sitting
he might
here,
let-
and that's the
then
thing
he
about
would
this, right? This interview for the first 11 minutes so far has been Trump just be like, "I like wrestling. Can I talk wrestling with you?" And I assume they're going to get into politics, unless this is an hour of Trump just asking the Undertaker questions, which would be the most hilarious interview of all time as Trump interviews the Undertaker. But Trump is not a smart Mark fan. He is the Trump seems like the most casual wrestling fan. Like, he enjoys it, but he doesn't delve into the IWC or anything. I don't think he's got like Twitter burners. I mean, not for wrestling, maybe for politics. But right now, he just seems like a normal dude.
let
I think that's
Hogan
part
or
of the
somebody
reason they
else
threw in
work, but
this.
I had to break them in.
Mark, in an economy like this,
No.
Yes.
something that you and I hate more than anything is debt. Talk about debt. Nobody wants smart.
Quiet, ad
Debt
man.
can help with a person wrestling.
Oh my God.
This dude just
Kind of getting into an era again. We had kind of a turnover where my generation moved out,
Right.
and but we've got guys like Roman Reigns who just had an incredible title reign. We've got
BS Neezy in the chat saying I wish Trump just had a podcast then ran for office. Yeah, dude. Hey, Trump, I'll tell you this. You want to be liked by a lot of people. That's kind of your thing. Start a podcast. You don't need to run for president. You guys tried to overthrow the government. Didn't work out. I understand. Maybe you're afraid of going to jail now. But what if we did something? What if we said, you will not be the president, but we'll also not arrest you, but we'll give you a podcast. Do you think we could get that done?
another young guy by the name of Gunther, who's going to be really special. Cody Rhodes is out there,
Gunther
the
getting
son
the
of
road.
Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, good.
The business itself is in a really, really, really good spot. And then we just had the merger with UFC and
Right, that's
TKO.
good.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's been.
Do you know Dana White?
Oh yeah, I know Dana.
Will you be working with Dana at all? or-
No, they're
Separate?
separate companies, but
So
under
who's running it? Who's going
Ari Emanuel is
Ari's excellent.
yeah, he's the big dog, and Dana runs the UFC side, and then Nick
How
Khan.
much am I loving this interview? It's been
he
pretty
runs the
juiceless so
WWE
far.
side.
Good. It's a very different kind of a thing, but very similar, actually, right?
It is. It really is.
I'm not going to kick you off for being a Trump
How do you
supporter.
do revenues there
Mac.
versus UFC? Is it
Our revenue. I mean, right now it is crazy. They are selling out.
your revenue? Your revenue is
My revenue.
meaning for the wrestling.
Oh yeah, for
It's doing
wrestling,
well.
it's
Really?
doing crazy.
Maybe better than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that incredible?
It really is. Sold out everywhere, and we're doing a lot of international stuff now. Merchandise.
So does that compare with UFC then in terms of revenue? do you think?
I don't really. I don't know their numbers very well, but I know that the stock is doing really well, and the company as a whole
That's great.
is doing really well.
It outperforms everyone on social media as well.
It's
Shut up,
it's always-
brand
The
boy.
social
No one's
media
talking to you.
outperforms NFL, MLB,
Really, huh?
NBA, everyone.
Wow.
Yes, over 100 million subscribers.
These are
on
the
YouTube.
characters. In other words, these are the people. Like your social media is very big, right?
I guess I don't.
Dude, this conversation has been absolutely so dry. And this is the way you all sound when you talk about the business of professional wrestling. And I mean, like, talking about the stocks and revenue and stuff. That's how juiceless your conversations are. It's exactly as juiceless as this interview. So please stop talking about that. Talk about something interesting.
Like, I'm not.
You're not into it.
Is my social media?
It's pretty big. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's doing
Who's
so.
the biggest on social media?
The Rock.
Oh, The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson.
You know, he was great. I never thought he liked me. And I felt badly because I think he's a terrific guy. And then Dana White said, when I was shot, took a shot to the ear. You may have heard about it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you
I
about
heard
it.
some
Actually.
rumblings about this. Yes.
Rock called.
If the Undertaker does not ask him if he bladed on the attempted assassination, Undertaker's a mark.
Dana said, I want to have his number. I want to have his number. What he did is sort of incredible. He considered it bravery.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me,
His
I
ear looks
considered
fine.
it like, what's going on here? But it was very nice, actually, The Rock. So you might mention that I said that. Do you speak to him?
Occasionally, I saw him.
Yeah.
I saw him in
No,
April.
very
God, what a saucy, what a zesty boy. He's like, I heard The Rock didn't like me, but I like The Rock. So if you could like put in a good word for me, tell The Rock that I love him. Thank you.
So
Well, he's doing great, right?
Yeah, he's a workaholic. There's no dust settles on him.
Yeah.
He's got his hands in a lot of different things. I was going to ask you. I mean, you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
You've got a beautiful wife, very intelligent. You've got a wonderful family. And you got people shooting at you. You don't have to do this.
That's true.
I mean,
I don't have
It's either
to-
this or
you don't
prison,
have
babe.
to do
I say,
this.
what am I doing sometimes? Why am I doing this?
But you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, people get in the media and everything else. They get everything so twisted. But it takes a special human being to sit on a podium, take a bullet, and get up, bleeding, with your hand raised in the air,
Yeah.
and let them know that, the moment right now is bigger than that.
Yeah.
I just.
It's because the boy loves professional wrestling. I'm sorry, but like Trump understands like the baseline of professional wrestling, that it's entertainment, that it's essentially theater, that it is live weekly theater that comes to your town. And Trump understands that. I mean, dude, when he raised his hand, people were like, "Oh, dude, that's like I remember we were filming a podcast that day, and we stopped filming the podcast because we saw the clip, and we're like, "Oh my god, like it's over. He's gonna win because that's a cool picture." Like 2 weeks later, no one cares. No one cares at all. I'm sorry. That's how disliked you are. Someone tried to take your life, and then 2 weeks later, everyone's like, "Eh, I don't care."
I don't know. I mean, what possesses you?
Yeah, he does
to
wrestling promos every time he talks.
Put your life on the line when you don't have to. Yeah. You have a wonderful life, and you've got a tremendous legacy.
Beyond that, I sometimes joke with the crowds because we get very big crowds. We had 107,000 in Butler. That's where the accident took place. We had 55,000 when we went back. A couple of months later, we had just 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We had 107,000. We had 101,000 in California. And,
it's incredible.
3 days ago. Big crowds. And, abnormally big because no politician ever had these crowds. I don't even know what it is exactly. I can't explain it. Why am I getting, it's like, why? But I sometimes say, I don't have to be here with you. I could be in Monte Carlo and the beaches. I could have everything. I don't need this. But I'd rather be in Butler, Pennsylvania with you, And it's true, actually. Because, look, I have a lot of wealthy friends, and they go to these places, and, most of them are unhappy and all that stuff. But, I feel I have a purpose, and that's to rebuild our country. This country is doing so badly. The border, I mean, I don't know what your politics are or is, but your politics...
I don't know what your politics are or is, but you invited me on your platform today to talk about it. Trump, I don't think you're doing like Like, you're not doing Hassan's podcast. You know what I mean? You're not doing like leftist podcasts. You know what's going on. Why are you being dumb?
Just common sense. We have murderers pouring into our country. We have.
I love the fact that Trump said he
just the border. There's many things wrong, but
hold on.
Just the border.
I can listen to this cat
country,
lie. I love that Trump said he had 100,000 people in Butler, PA. Like, oh, you outdrew WrestleMania? Crazy. Doubtful.
Country's doing so badly. The border. I mean, I don't know. 3 days ago, big crowds, and abnormally big because no politician ever had these crowds. I don't even know what it is exactly. I can't explain it. Why am I getting? It's like why? But I sometimes say I don't have to be here with you. I could be in Monte Carlo and the beaches. I could have everything. I don't need this. But I'd rather be in Butler, Pennsylvania with you, And it's true, actually. Because, look, I have a lot of wealthy friends, and they go to these places, and, most of them are unhappy and all that stuff. But, I feel I have a purpose, and that's to rebuild our country. This country is doing so badly. The border, I mean, I don't know what your politics are or is, but your politics, just common sense. We have murderers pouring into our country. We have drug dealers pouring in. Just the border. There's many things wrong, but just the border. I think the border is worse than inflation. I think it's the biggest thing. To me, it's like we're now in the middle. I don't know when this is going on, and I wish you luck with it. I know you're going to get high ratings. I used to think I was a big person, but I don't feel so big standing next to this guy. This guy is big.
Well,
but my son would feel better, although he's not quite as wide as you, I will say.
He'll grow into it.
He will be.
Yeah.
He will be someday. But I feel I have an obligation to do this. I had 4 great years. We had the best economy we've ever had as a country. We had the strongest borders we've ever had in recorded history. I guess they might have been very strong 1,000 years ago or something. But we had the strongest.
The borders in the United States were better 1,000 years ago? How long does he think the United States has been a thing?
Borders. We were hitting on all. I rebuilt the military, got the biggest tax cuts in history, got the biggest regulation cuts, and is really doing great. And then we had a crazy election where I did much better than the first time. And
yeah, the fact that he's like, we had the best economy. Yeah, buddy. Barack Obama had to rebuild that after the housing collapse of 2008. I swear, I really think that he just preys on the fact that Republicans do not do their own research. And I understand that. There's not a lot of people who have the time to go do the research that it takes to understand when and when he is not lying. He says the things, it sounds good, it's a good clip, and people just run with it. That's what's so crazy to me. Is that like he just tells these lies everywhere he goes. And these people, especially like the Undertaker's not going to call him out. The Undertaker is not a politics pervert. Like, he's not like me. I'm built different. I got the time. I looked up this stuff. He loves the poorly educated. God, I love him. Which is so funny to me because Trump has spent his entire life being a New York socialite. There's nothing if there's one thing that he dislikes, and it's going to sound like MJF, he hates the poors. If you don't make a lot of money, Donald Trump does not care about you. Don't believe me? Look at his tax plans.
If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have done this because it showed that there's a lot of love out there. Got hit with COVID, the whole thing, the whole world got hit with COVID, which is the China virus to be exact. But
he's bringing back the old ones.
There's never been anything like it. Who would have ever thought the word pandemic? I heard the word, but you never thought it was like a modern day. You figure nowadays you take a shot and you're fine, right? It goes, everyone is fine. But we had it's an ancient form of a disease.
Patrick in the chat says, conveniently leaving out Taker was paid for this? Taker was paid to have him on? Somebody fact check that for me. I'm not sure. That's crazy if he was.
In 2017, it killed 100 million people. And we could have lost 100 million people, too, pretty easily. We lost many millions of people all over the world. So I got hit with that. We had a crazy election, which was, I won't get into it because I don't want to get you in Any controversy? Because you like no controversy. That election was so
There's not too many people.
We're here.
There's not too many people trying to argue with this guy.
No,
so.
that election, that's good. Nobody's going to say, hey, let's take it outside, right? No, but so I got more votes than any sitting president in the history of the country by millions, right? And they say we didn't win. You know, it was a version.
I love this one. I got more votes than any sitting president in the United States history. But you know who you didn't get more votes than? The guy you were running with. Like, this is the Republican playbook. It's like, tell the truth, but omit details so it's a lie. People don't understand that. He didn't get more votes than Biden. The fact that he's like, that would be like someone being in a basketball game and like, we scored the highest amount of points anybody, any home team scored in that arena that night. Yes, but you lost to the away team by 14. What are we talking about?
But it was a COVID thing.
Hillary wasn't a
you
sitting
couldn't
president.
get security. Nobody wanted to go outside.
That's why
Big
his
guys
lie
like
is
you would say,
kind
I'm
of
not gonna
true.
Be secure. You couldn't get anybody. It was like people didn't want to die.
Right.
It was it was right in the middle of that. And now I'm running again and I'm leading. And I beat Biden, and they saw he was getting beaten. It's sort of like, it's a little unfair, and it's sort of not really what democracy is all about. But Biden got 14 million votes. He deserved to run it out and see. And they took it away. They actually took away his presidency, if you think about it. It was
Undertaker,
they call it a coup, but it was, they actually took away his presidency, and they gave it to this one. And this one is worse than him. And we're leading now, but we have to.
Dude, I love this. It's so funny to me that Trump the whole time was like, Biden's unfit for office. He doesn't need to run. He's bad for the country. And Joe Biden goes, all right, I'll head out. That's fine. Listen, I'm being serious. I'm out. And Joe Biden powders out. He's out of here. And now he's pissed about it. You got what you wanted.
See if we can do it. We got to do it. With him, I was leading by a lot. It was sort of over. And they went to him and they said, you're not going to win, and we're going to replace you. You think of that.
I mean, that's a coup.
No, they took it away.
That's a coup.
Okay,
oh my God, Undertaker. Oh my God, he's a smooth-brained MAGA boy. Oh my God.
$150 million.
He's Facebook Unc.
We're raging. We're doing great.
He's the
we're
uncle. He's the
we had the
Undertaker.
debate. It was a good debate. He goes down, and now I have to fight somebody else. That's like you going into the ring, and you're beating the hell out of somebody, and they call up and they say, get that guy out of the ring or put somebody else in for a while.
Right, yeah.
Right? You got to fight two guys instead of one.
It's a good analogy.
So anyway, so we have a second one that we started. Well, no, but the whole focus.
It's really funny that he's like, oh yeah, I don't know what that's like. Teddy Long used you as a deterrent and would say, tonight you're going on one-on-one with The Undertaker, playa. The Undertaker, you've been in this role. You've been the guy in waiting for like most of the 2010s on SmackDown.
Focus was
Early
on
2000s,
this one
rather.
man, because it's a one man, it's one thing. And then the debate was like a big deal. And that's over. And you think you have it won, and all of a sudden they replace. And then the new person always has a honeymoon period. So she got 6 weeks of a honeymoon period. Everybody thought good. They didn't think good of her before. In fact, she was the last of 13 people that was going to be chosen, but they wanted to be politically correct, so they picked this person.
He's
And
bringing
she's
up
not
stuff from
qualified.
like
She got no
the
votes.
presidential candidates
She
last
dropped out.
time.
You know, she ran against Biden and she dropped out. She got no votes. They had 13 people. She was number 13, and they picked her. And I guess that's okay. I don't know. The process is pretty.
Or my orange fellow, she's the vice president of the United States, whose one real job is to take over when the president cannot do his job. It's literally in her job title. It's in the job description, guys.
Pretty crazy. You know, when they say threat to democracy, that's really a threat to democracy.
Yeah,
I'm not a threat to democracy. That is.
I guess you need to ask Joe Biden what a threat to democracy is at this point,
Oh,
right?
he's an
January
angry guy.
6th. He's sitting
So,
across
Mr.
from you,
President,
Undertaker.
with the fact that, in the polls right now,
Why is this guy
you've
talking?
got Fox, you got CNN, you got all these different polls out there that nobody really knows what.
He didn't name like a pollster. He just named television channels. This guy is This guy doesn't need to talk. You've never wrestled. You have a terrible blazer on, by the way.
What to trust and what not to trust. But there's polls out there like with Poly Market where people could literally bet on the actual election, and it's from the people. You're up by 20%. Now, a month ago, you were only up by 10%, and there's been over $2.1 billion that has been put on you to win this election from the people. And you've tweeted about it. You've been talking about Poly Market. Why do you think there's been such a swing in
Poly Market? Sounds like a place where you would go with your girlfriend and your girlfriend's boyfriend and your boyfriend's girlfriend and your boyfriend's boyfriend when you guys have a house and you all need to go shopping together.
And the odds right now of you winning over Vice President Harris.
Yeah, the Republicans using random betting platforms as polls now.
That she's incompetent, that she's a Marxist. You could say communist. A lot of people don't know what a Marxist is. But they say, could you use another word? I said, how about communist?
Doesn't get any better, does it?
I don't think you're a big communist fan.
No,
what do you think?
No.
I don't think he is. I hang out with him a good bit. I don't think he is. Yeah.
I'm from Texas. We don't have those there.
Yeah. You know, when I first...
We don't have communist in Texas. We just have communist schools, public schools, public roads. A lot of stuff we pay for collectively as a unit to better the foundation of Texas. Interesting.
You were walking down.
Yeah, Austin, Texas, Undertaker. What are you talking about?
And I was surprised at how big you were. And the other wrestlers were in the room. And I was going to be following him. And they all called him Taker. And they said, it was sort of cool. They said, have a good time, Taker. They were talking about Taker. And I said, that's a cool name. They don't call him Undertaker. They say, they're your friends. Yep. The other wrestlers are sitting around waiting. And they're saying, have a good time, Taker. He said, I will indeed. I will indeed. I said, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Taker's a little easy.
Do they call you Taker?
Yeah, they either call me Taker or Deadman.
Yeah,
those are a couple of my
Deadman.
But yeah. Thank you, DraftKings, for sponsoring this episode.
DraftKings would be pissed. They were talking about the other company.
Is coming down this weekend in the Octagon. Butler, I was curious if you were going to have maybe a portrait made out of the chart and hang it on the wall at Mar-a-Lago.
There have been so many portraits of, and some are genius and some are terrible.
Mark loves the police so much he doesn't understand socialism.
Look, it's amazing because I'm alive. You're not supposed to be alive for iconic. But they say it's the most. I think Iwo Jima was right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They took a lot of bullets.
Yes.
Putting up the flag, right? But
did this guy just and the Undertaker agreed that this is like up there with Iwo Jima? This is a world-class glaze sesh. This is like unspeakable amounts of glaze. I thought the Aiden Ross interview with Donald Trump was going to just be bad, was going to be the worst one. I mean, he gave the guy a Cybertruck and a Rolex and stuff, but dude, the Undertaker is just taking it to the tonsils right now.
I will say that I have never seen anything like it.
10 million? Somebody fact check that. Patrick, you said it earlier.
Paintings.
And
some are really good, and some
that's a lot of money.
Some are not great artists. But I've never seen anything like it, actually. I had that with my mugshot, but to a lesser extent. The mugshot was big.
That was a big seller.
No, the mugshot. I had the mugshot. So who was number one was Elvis Presley. Did you know that? He was arrested for something. And that was the biggest. And then Frank Sinatra was second. A lot of big mugshots.
I was going to say, Frank's up there.
He got into a brawl had to do with the booze and women.
They'll do it every time.
And that can do it.
Every time.
It's a bad combination, right? That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Never for you, though.
No, sir.
Are you a drinker at all?
I've been known to.
Are you a drinker at all? Mr. Trump, former President Donald Trump, you're surrounded by seltzer. Come on, man.
Partake in a drink or two. Not as much now as I used to, but I've pulled it back a little.
So we had that crazy mugshot. And as soon as I saw it, I said, that's really unusual. When I went in, I said, I wonder, do I smile and say, screw you, or do I just act angry? And I thought the smile wasn't appropriate. A lot of people said, you know what you do? Just smile. I didn't, so I was scowling. And he knows all about scowling. That's what he did. He scowled.
I made a career out of scowling.
I made a big career out of scowling. But anyway, so I did. But that thing went crazy. It was like 400 million hits. But this picture, I think, is even maybe bigger.
Yeah, it's
right?
really unusual.
Oh, it's
mugshot taken.
Yeah,
I see myself being shot every single day, no matter when. Now, I just left, I was watching something, and they have this picture on the whole act, you know, the whole thing, where, you know, from the time you get shot, you know, and I'm following my hand down, and somebody obviously is screaming, get down, it's bullets, right? Because otherwise it's almost too perfect because of what you followed it.
Right.
But I look at my hand, there's blood all over my hand. I said, that's either the biggest mosquito in history or I got shot.
You know, Butler's got some big mosquitoes, right?
Butler's, probably does.
Mr. President, what was the conversation with your family after?
That's crazy. Trump is like traumatized from that. Obviously, right? That's a horrific thing that happened to him. No joke. Obviously, like getting shot, that'll mess your day up, right? He is like obviously having a problem with it. Every time he talks about it a lot, and he's like, I see it all the time. You should talk to somebody about that. Like, really?
Words though, because that's a scary situation.
I knew that.
He's not going to talk to him about the dogs.
It's funny, you know, the surreal experience kind of thing.
Right.
Where, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but a lot of people do, where something happens that's so big. And don't forget, I had thousands and more than you have in wrestling matches, you know, times 3. If you fill up an arena, you know, I had thousands of people out there. So, number one, it's sort of embarrassing. You know, you're speaking, and all of a sudden you're getting down on the floor. A lot of amazing things happen. Number one, you could call them fans, but the Patriots, they're really Patriots. They didn't move. And there were a lot of shots fired, at least 8, right? That's a lot. And the crowd control experts said that, one in particular said it's amazing because when they hear bullets, they know bullets. The fans break up and they stampede. And they really stampede. And people get killed from... Nobody left. You saw that with a small group behind me. You know, the group behind me was relatively small. The people were all out there. Thousands of, you couldn't even see the end of it. And when I got hit, I went down.
The amount of times that this man talks about attendance, I'm slowly changing my stance that Trump is not in the IWC. He keeps talking about attendance, and when you talk about attendance, this is what you sound like. You sound like a sauceless old man.
And then Secret Service was very brave, I have to say. They were all jumping on top, and the bullets were flying right at him. And then he got taken out by the sniper. The sniper got him from a long distance, one shot. Amazing. Yep. If he doesn't get him, you got a lot of people dead. But the Secret Service sniper was amazing. And we believe also the local police hit the barrel of the rifle and splintered the hell out of it. But if they don't get him...
Nice generico.
And they got him. But if they don't get him, you probably have a lot of dead. We lost 1, and 2 were very badly hurt. We thought they were both going to be gone, and they both made it. Great doctors, doctors. You know, country-type doctors, right? They were great. You couldn't have had any better. They saved them. They're good. But it was surprisingly, you know, when I think back on it, I was on the floor. I had blood pouring all over the place. You would know this better than anybody in the world, probably. They say when your ear gets damaged, it's the bloodiest thing.
It's very bloody, yeah.
And it has to do with cartilage. If your ear gets cut or damaged, it's very bloody, and you know you probably
I've had mine split.
More so than like anything else, which is surprising. But I was loaded up with blood, but I was down, and they thought I got
Appreciate
hit
a good neighbor.
numerous times all over the place, and I said, "Nope, I got the ear. I want to get up, get me up." I'm screaming, "Where are my shoes?" Because my shoes got knocked off when they jumped. I mean, they hit pretty hard. They were there fast. They were very brave.
They were.
And I don't know how that happened, but my shoes got ripped off. So, But it wasn't a surreal experience. It was, I knew everything that was happening. It was amazing. Did you see the one where my face was just off the ground and the blood's pouring all over the place?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these are some crazy shots. This was not supposed to be my life. This is supposed to be his life. Okay,
I don't mind bleeding. I'd just rather it not come from bullets.
So, Mark, we had to look good for today.
Well, we try.
You have to look good for today. Today is about Manscaped. Are you about to show Donald Trump? Look, if this is about to be like an Arnold Palmer situation where you guys shower together so you can get a look at the hog, we might have to PG-13 this bad boy.
Ratings. He's going to get that big. He's going to get ratings like him.
His wife doesn't want him to get back in the ring, so we've got to get these ratings.
Are you going to? Okay, let's ask about
There's
that.
no chance. There's no chance.
I almost feel like I'm doing the interview because it's interesting to me. Where's our big man? Where's our next
big
governor?
red machine over there? Yeah.
He's going to be the next governor of Tennessee.
How did you become such a fan of wrestling?
I love sports, and I knew Vince and this and that. I guess it goes back a long way. I held 3 or 4 WrestleManias.
Yeah, 3 and 4 were at.
I think so.
Yeah.
And they were good ones.
Yes.
They were really good ones. It was hot as a pistol then. It's sort of always been hot, but I think it was really hot. And I don't think I did the first one, but I did maybe 3 and 4.
3 and 4. It's the only. Yeah, it was the only time that it's been in the same place 2 years in a row.
3 and 4. In fact, it was so good I wanted the second one, right? But and it was a tremendous success. It was great. And really, Dana White and Vince are really 2 guys. They're very unique people. Dana's incredible.
Yeah.
And different. It's different kinds. It's actually a much different product in it.
Both of those guys, the people that Trump is glazing about Vince and Dana, are both bad people. I don't know if you remember, but Dana White slaps his wife in public. Vince McMahon is being federally investigated. Not exactly the greatest crew there, Donnie.
In a certain way, even though it's
No, it is. Stuff. Yes, yeah.
It's a much different product, but they sort of have some qualities that are very, very similar. But Dana's done an unbelievable job, and Vince preceded him by a little bit. But boy, what a job he did!
All right, I gotta talk about this chatter here. It says, "Is he trying to reach the wrestling fans with this?" I'm pretty sure he already got 96% of that vote. I don't know if you know this, but there is a lot of wrestling fans who are not conservatives. You have to remember, wrestling casts a very large net. There are going to be conservatives who enjoy professional wrestling for sure, but professional wrestling is a stage performance. It is a play. It is live theater that comes to your town. It's a traveling theater production. I don't know if you know this. That does swing a little liberal.
Yeah, he really did create just a global juggernaut with WWE and
so the combination sounds like it's a good combination, right?
So far it's really been amazing, and I think they've only really scratched the surface to how far this is going to go. I mean,
well, Linda McMahon I picked, who really helped Vince a lot over the years. A lot of people don't know that, and she's a fantastic woman. She's been a big supporter from the moment, from the very beginning. And she was the head of small businesses, which is big business, basically,
right.
Small business administration. And she did a fantastic job. Everybody loves her, special woman. And I know she was involved with the WWE. So it used to be WWF, right?
Right, sir.
And they just couldn't get that name back, which was amazing, right? They couldn't.
Well, I
Did
think
it make
eventually,
a difference? Do you think it made a difference? WWE, WWE. Now, I guess with time it's okay.
With time, it's
but it
just
was hard to get used to it.
Yeah,
right?
at first, yeah, it really was. I just think it got into the big deal with I think it was the World Wildlife Fund, and I just think he was like, he seized the moment and said, you know what, it's time for a little bit of change, and it wasn't worth fighting it in the court and tying all that up.
And they were being absolutely very tough, right?
Yeah, and I don't think anybody was going to confuse World Wrestling Federation with the World Wildlife Fund. I mean, it was just semantics, I think.
Did he lose that case?
He just chose not to. he just let it go, and
Well, in
that's
the
why.
end, he did the right thing. But I remember at the beginning, it was so awkward to say WWE, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was
went
really
from,
unbelievable.
Because originally it was the WWWF.
Yeah.
And then they took a W off, and then it was like a whole new facelift kind of a deal with the WWE. We'd changed our branding and the way everything looked. So it ended up working out for the better.
So tell me, what are you doing here with this stuff? So you have a big name, you have a lot of fans. When you asked me to do this, I said I'm going to do it because I'm a fan. You know, I really think you've done a great job. What is this? So tell me what this is all about.
So
it's a platform.
It's my podcast. This guy here, I don't know, 8 years ago, he works for a veteran-owned and operated company, Nine Line. Very patriotic.
Best apparel company ever.
Oh, he makes those awful T-shirts that say like, "If I run, get behind me. If I fall, pick me up. If I run away, shoot me." Like that tough as like the mall dad stuff. Like, for example, if you play travel baseball, most of the stuff those dads wear.
And,
you know the ones.
What is the best what?
Apparel company ever.
Oh, is that right?
We're
Apparel
veteran-owned and
company
operated,
hits the
yes,
Trump
sir.
fingers.
Give back charity. I've built 50 tiny homes for homeless veterans.
What
5
apparel is it? What kind of?
It's
apparel?
patriotic apparel. It's just T-shirts.
So you know all about the Trump apparel, then, right?
Yes, sir. We actually made a shirt for Corey, who was tragically killed in Butler that day, and
I see.
we were able to raise a lot of money for his
Wow.
family. Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, but
we
we
raised-
teamed up with this guy who used to wear our shirts, and
So how long has that been going? How has it been going?
So we've known each other for what
7, 8 years.
7, 8 years, and he says, you got this platform. Yeah. Like I wrestled. I'm a wrestler. I did it for over 30 years, and he's like, he says, you've got this huge platform. You need to do something with it. And my wife was the same way. She was like,
How long are you married?
I have been married for 14 years.
Good.
Yes.
Is this your second marriage?
Who counts? Numbers. Numbers.
Let's not get. All right, you can cut that part out. This sounds like it's going to get a little bit too.
I think I think you can relate. Like we both have kind of maybe outkicked our coverage.
So much for that question. Yeah. We'll take that question off. The answer started getting a little bit long. There's bad things coming out of that.
Numbers.
See, this is good. This is the Donald Trump that people really don't get to see.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
after you do an episode with the president,
This guy,
Yes, sir.
there's
You
more
gotta
ads
celebrate.
than Raw
well, I
on
intend
here.
on
What
it.
are we
Oh, yeah.
doing?
and you know what? Tonight,
Oh, just stop talking. Just God.
BlueChew.com.
That's easy.
Promo code 6 feet to
Easy
receive
money.
your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And
Let Trump do the ad read, you coward.
we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring 6 Feet Under.
I think you need to show more of this part of you, because I really think you're a guy's guy and a sports fan, and I know you got to have that.
Dude, he is not a guy's guy. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to make a sweeping generalization, but a guy's guy doesn't dance on stage to like the YMCA and Ave Maria and This Is a Man's World for 38 minutes while hitting like his little moves. That's not what a man's man does. Like if we're going by the general idea, like that's not at all. No.
I know you got that tough guy persona and that bravado, but I think this is good. This is fun, and I think
I can't get over Undertaker's light wash
You've made
jeans.
politics fun again,
Yeah.
and I just think some people get caught up in the fact that I think they look at politics now kind of like a wrestling story, and they can't separate reality.
Well, it's so interesting because, and I can't explain exactly why, but so we'll go to places and have 100,000 people show up.
Mark, Mr. Taker, Mr. Undertaker, Taker Under, Politics is not like wrestling. Politics is actually consequential. So the fact that you're like, oh, a lot of people view it this way, and that's kind of funny. No, it's not, dude. Trump joining politics has been funny in the way that like he says funny things from time to time. His dancing's funny. He does goofy stuff, but like we're in a net negative because he's involved in it. We're having these conversations. Like it's fun when you join politics. January 6th was fun, right? Is that what you're saying, Mark? For being the American badass, the guy sure does not like love America, it seems like.
And I don't have a card, and I'm not a wrestler. And when I felt your arm, I said I wouldn't have been a very good wrestler. It wouldn't.
When I felt your arm,
get big, strong arms on top of everything else. But you know, and I'll get a crowd of 100,000 people coming about politics. You know, if Ronald Reagan came back and he went to some of the places that I go to, he'd have 250 people or 304, and that's very, very good. You know, and they do it in a ballroom someplace.
I love that Donald Trump said, if Ronald Reagan came back from the dead, I'd still outdraw him. I don't know. If Ronald Reagan came back from the dead, I might go and see him and be like, what's this zombie talking about? That's pretty tight.
And I'm getting like 50, 60, 100,000 people. It's crazy. And it's like a love of the country. Because, it's hope. It's something going on. It's something very amazing. So now we're in the middle of the election period. I mean, it's actually started. The voting actually started after 4 years. Because if I didn't feel I won by a lot the last election, I wouldn't do that. Because if you lost, you lost. It's okay, you lose. It's easier in a way to just say, okay, I'm getting on with my life, and maybe I'll go to those beaches or do what I want to do.
There's golf to be played.
Yeah, golf too. Do you play golf?
I'm a frustrated golfer.
I would think you would hit a long ball if you hit it.
When I hit it, it goes a long way.
Yeah,
I'm just not the. And that's another. I don't want to cut you off, but like, who shoots at a guy who's got a 3-foot putt for birdie?
Right.
Who does that?
Right.
Glaze. Absolute glaze sesh. He's mentioning the golf. Your golf game's so good. You were putting and someone was going to take another shot at you. It's almost like a lot of people don't like this guy, Mark.
I mean, is that right? You had a 3-foot putt for birdie and a guy starts popping shots off at you?
Yeah, well, that was the second time. Yeah, I'm standing over a putt. He could have at least let me putt it out, right?
I mean, come on.
It actually wasn't him, though. It was a Secret Service agent. The guy did a good job. He saw a barrel coming out. Can you believe it? AK-47. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
And he saw a barrel coming out from behind a bush. The guy's buried in a bush, very lush course. And the Secret Service, he did an amazing job. He's walking down a hole ahead of me, and he sees a barrel coming out of a bush. And he didn't talk. He started shooting because he said, that's not good. And he started shooting. And the guy wasn't hit, but he dropped his gun.
I completely forgot about the second
attempt. And he ran across
attempt.
the street.
The story about it, too.
Got into a car. Now, listen to this one. A woman, it could only be a woman because men maybe aren't smart enough, right? A woman sees this.
You know what, Mr. President? I agree. You should drop out of the race because you're not smart enough. You're not smarter than the woman. There you go. Trump endorses Kamala Harris. You're welcome.
This guy running. He's running across the street. Now, who would do this? It's fairly busy street, big, Congress. And
why would you run across the
she
street?
sees him and she said,
away from the Secret
he's
Service.
Suspicious. I see people running all the time that don't look so hot. But she follows him for 1 block. He gets into the car. She stops her car, starts taking pictures of his license plate, and starts taking pictures of the type of car it was. It was a van of some kind. Mm-hmm. And she then takes the pictures and sends them to the sheriff. Who would do this? And the sheriff says, wow, because they just had an incident. It only happened 3 minutes before.
Wow.
So the sheriff then gets a picture, and he just had a call that there's this big deal going on. And 2 minutes later, he gets a picture of a car and a license plate sent by the way. Who would do this? I said to the sheriff, if this happened 1,000 times, how many people would follow a guy that's running down the street stop and take pictures. And there's some kind of a chip or something on the license plate that if they have the license plate, they can track you down. Did you ever know that? I never heard of that.
I didn't.
There's some kind of a deal that if they have your license plate, they can find you. And they have him speeding down a highway, and they got him and nabbed him fast. But think of that, because he could be out there. And I wouldn't want to have a guy out there that, just dropped an AK-47 and ran, and he's out there. And they got him. And, he's got some problems, bad guy. But think of that. Who would think that somebody would
this
take
is a
pictures
weird
of somebody's
conversation.
license plate because they saw him and he didn't look right? And a woman did this. Incredible woman. But I said to the police, I said to the sheriff, who's great, I said, Sheriff, how many times, out of 1,000 times, how many times would somebody do that? He said, maybe none.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's so crazy, right?
Yeah, it really is.
So it was a pretty wild time, and hopefully we're gonna have a
Chatter, you're right. Like, come on, dude, you're so boring. Bring out some of the hits. Talk to me about Batteries and Hannibal Lecter. Dude, you're so sauceless now. Look, in 2016, I understand why I guess 2016 when he won. I understand why a lot of people voted for him. I didn't. I don't like him. But I understand why people were like, dude's funny. Like, yeah, he's got funny tweets. He's kind of a jerk. Like, I get that. But like in 2024, he's got no juice. His heart ain't in it anymore. He's just here for the paycheck at this point, dude. He's just,
great election.
It's politics. It's usually boring. Not like this. I'm sorry. Like when Trump came to the dance being a zesty king, and now he's going out with a whimper. Like, do something on this podcast. You're in front of the Undertaker. Like, do something crazy, man. This is just so boring.
We'll straighten out the country. We'll straighten out the border. We have a lot to straighten out. This has been the worst president in history. This is the worst vice president in history. She's worse than he is. And you never know. It's an election. You never know. Maybe somebody likes her. I think we should be in good shape. We knocked him out. Now,
Chatter, definitely he was a zesty king. Yeah, dude, he's trying to be the actual king of America, but he was a zesty, like, he was funny. I mean, I'll be honest, like he did and said some funny stuff. He also did and said a lot of like racist things. Don't get me wrong, he said a lot of horrific things, but some of the things he said were kind of like, they would make you chuckle. You would tune into the news and you'd see like, what did Trump say? And you're like, oh, man. Like, for example, yesterday, I find it so funny that he went to the closed McDonald's and cosplayed work, and then, like, they gave paid, like, actors, not paid actors, but, like, they had fake customers. He basically did the professional wrestling equivalent of working at a McDonald's.
we have to knock her out, and we'll get it back. And I do it because we're going to make America great again. It's very, we have a MAGA. You know all about MAGA.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's basically
MAGA.
It's basically
Make America Great Again. As a slogan. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, Undertaker doesn't know about Make America Great Again. So Make America Great Again is the slogan used by Donald Trump that was originally used in the United States by the Ku Klux Klan. Hopefully clear that up for you, Taker.
Yeah,
I think I heard of it. I think I heard of it.
Yeah. It's been pretty successful.
Definitely.
No,
Taker
it's the
owns a
greatest
MAGA
movement
hat,
in the
doesn't
history
he?
of the country. And when I say that, if it was wrong, the press would kill. They don't. I say this is the greatest movement. They have to say, I guess that's right. Nothing even close. Maybe the greatest movement in the history of any country.
MAGA's from the KKK.
But we have, and
So
they're
is
all
America
fans of yours,
First.
by the way. We have probably 200 million people, if you think about it.
Wow.
Right? Could be more than that. A majority of the country. And they want to see. And when Biden went out, on occasion, say, we will stop MAGA. We will stop. They say, no, that's Make America Great Again. He's going to stop MAGA. So anyway, it's been very successful. But now we're in the middle of an election, right smack in the middle, right?
Well, we're in the home stretch.
We have 19 days left, but the voting starts. Voting should be 1 day and should be 19 days or 20 days. It should, we have something I think that's going to be special. The numbers are very.
Hold on, I gotta address what Chatter's saying. Chatters are saying they weren't familiar with it being a Ku Klux Klan thing. Here you go. This is the old. Is this the old one or is this the new one? Let me find it. Hold on, chat. They used it in. Here we go. Here is America First. Oh, you can't see it because of the chat. Hold on. All right. So look, American First, that's the original one there. And then where is there was a Make America. Oh, wait. No, I think Make America Great was maybe Ronald Reagan. Never mind. America First.
Very good.
I'll have to double check that.
But who knows? You have to just keep working.
Be careful with those images, James in the chat says. Why? Because Trump might be in them.
And it's an honor to do the show with you guys.
Well, sir, that means a lot to us, and giving us this opportunity. We're not journalists, and
I turned down 60 Minutes, and I'm doing your stupid show.
Yeah, we're doing you're doing a
You turned down. Wow, way to bury the show. Turn down 60 Minutes.
professional wrestling podcast.
That's all right.
We're not journalists, and we're really not that great podcasters either. But
That's
we get people
evident.
that watch us. But I do have. I have one question. And earlier, you were very gracious, and you met, you met my family, and,
Right.
and they're sitting over there. My political interests, Title IX. You met my daughter.
Yes.
What
Oh my God, he's gonna go on a trans rant. Oh my God.
are we gonna do, or what are you gonna do if elected, to protect the integrity of women in sports, and continue on with just the fair play? And I don't mean to put you on the spot,
No, I don't
and I
know.
appreciate
It's a
everything.
simple question to
Well,
me.
but I want to put a face to it. If you
God.
can I bring my daughter?
Absolutely.
Okay, come here.
Wow. Such a beautiful. That's
Oh, she's a lap sitter, just like Trump. Trump's like, I used to like when my daughter sat on my lap. She won't do it anymore. She says it's creepy. She says I breathe too hard in her ear.
what I call a beautiful daughter. Huh?
Thank you. She is.
She's
and
young
she's
enough,
quite
though.
quite the quarterback too.
But you don't want to go and wrestle a guy like if you were doing that, because people do that, like your father, right? He's a little too much to handle, right? No, I will not. I will get rid of it fast. Men playing in women's sports is insane.
And it's not happening. It's just like, look, I don't think people understand how small of a population the trans community is. Not only that, there's a very smaller subset of those people who want to play sports. It's just not happening. Like, this is like, there was something in Utah where they were trying to like pass something like this. And when they looked at it and they found like one person, they found one trans woman in, and that might be the wrong phrase. I don't know which way it was going. Doesn't matter. In Utah. And it would be like legislating against one person. You're like, I'm going to legislate against Sarah. And that's it. No, that's not legislation. You're just picking on somebody. You're picking on somebody you're picking on a group of people who have a, I don't think you can say the word on here, but have a, who tend to, how would I want to phrase this? There is a high rate of, leaving this world too soon by your own hands for that community. And the fact that we're legislating this, only putting more pressure and making these people feel less invited, is something I don't get. It's a small minority already, and you want them to feel worse? And I'll never understand this. This isn't a real issue. It's just not. It's not even something the president should be talking about.
Okay, it's insane. I mean, I assume I can't even imagine anybody thinking anything other. Like, you have to have borders, right? You have to have fair elections.
Taker's
Where are the people
Facebook
that want
unk,
it?
dude.
Have you ever met anybody that said, we want men playing in women's? I've never met anybody. I know there's got to be some kind of a movement. I'm going to terminate that immediately. I'll terminate it. I'm not going to let it happen. Yesterday, a volleyball player got hit female team where somebody transitioned. And you don't think of volleyball. She got hit. Now, this guy, this was a man who transitioned to a woman, and they showed the shot, and it was all girls. There were girls.
Chatter says there's no way his daughter cares. There's absolutely no way. She's a prop right now. Hey, I want to talk about this trans thing, but I'm going to bring my daughter over here under the guise so people don't think I just hate trans people. I'm concerned about my daughter's sports. Hey, Mark Calloway, how many trans kids are currently competing against your daughter? Is this a real problem you're having, or is this something made up because you spend so much time on Facebook? Sorry. I'm just so pissed off at these people. They're just so dumb.
Girls, older, like 18, 19, 20, very good players, like All-American type players. I think a college team or something. And they had the one guy on the one team, and he was up so high in the air, and he smashed that ball. You don't see that. And this ball came at her at a speed that she's never seen, get really whacked her. But other volleyball players were hurt. But the best is...
You don't see tall volleyball players? I don't know. I disagree with that. I used to work back in college. I worked for the school paper, and we interviewed the volleyball team on a few instances. And most of those women were taller than me. Most of those women were stronger than me. Do you know why? They're collegiate athletes. Do you know what I was? A collegiate journalist. These people, they're largely just tall women. You're right. They are just they're just tall women. Okay? Jesus. It's like when they talked about the boxer in the Olympics, they were like, yeah, the lady who won silver is trans. You're like, no. No, she's not. She's biologically a female. She's born female. She has female anatomy. By all the definitions that you make people agree to, right? That you just say well, this is what makes you a woman. She has all those. And people are, well, she's got different chromosomes. She's got predisposed to having more testosterone. Dude, LeBron James is predisposed to being 6'8" and have the largest arms ever. Victor Wembanyama is predisposed to being 7'12". I don't know what to tell you. Athletics have always been about if you're genetically different and you can make that work for you, good for you. I'm sorry, but The Undertaker is a tall guy. The Undertaker understands this. If The Undertaker was 5'6", he's not doing this interview.
Is weightlifting, where you see a record that stood for 15 years, and they're putting, an eighth of an ounce on each side of the bar. You know this better. Yeah. And then some person that transitioned to a female from a male, have you lifted before? Not much, no. Well, here we are. So he got, he puts, then they add 100 pounds to it. He's still lifting. Yeah. So it's crazy. The swimmers too. Look at the swimmers. Yeah. I mean, the swimmers.
It's not happening.
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
So
it's just not happening.
I think it's very demeaning to women. But she wants to play sports and she wants to play against women. You don't necessarily want to play against men. You know, it's okay, but you don't want to do it. Did you see the boxing match at the Olympic boxing? Did you see the guy?
I did. It was.
Did you see that beautiful Italian girl? She's supposed to.
Trump, shut up. I want to hear Mark be more transphobic. This is what I was talking about. This is a complete fabrication. And they just keep repeating it. They just keep lying. And The Undertaker has vehemently just shown that he is not a smart person. And I always go back to Damo, Big Damo, when they say, why do wrestlers do some stupid things? And he said, sometimes wrestlers are just stupid. And this is the case. He is a dumbass. He is the American dumbass.
To be a good boxer. She took just a left jab. The guy's up, he goes, boom. That's like a defensive punch. So it goes like that.
That was Trump's punch. I just want to reiterate, since they wanted to talk about gender roles, when he said he's a manly man, who punches like that? My zesty king.
I never saw it quite like that. She didn't actually go down. She walked back to her corner. She said, I just got hit harder than I've ever been hit before.
It was ridiculous.
Then the corner pushes her back out. You can do it. You can do it. But he goes with another left jab. And she walked off. She said, there's no way I can beat that. Now, there were two people in the Olympics, because I didn't even know they have female boxing. there were two people that transitioned into women. Both of them won the gold medal. Shockingly. Are you shocked to hear that?
Imagine that, right?
How would you like to play this guy?
What?
Okay. He decides to transition. I don't think we have to worry about it. Somehow I don't think we have to worry about it, but this would not be pleasant. Anyway, it's been great being with you guys.
All the pleasures
It's
are
been
ours.
great. You have a
Sir,
beautiful
thank you.
daughter.
Thank you for
very
that.
much.
And I just, as going to this home stretch, I know you're extremely busy. I think you have to go to Michigan now. I just appreciate you giving us the opportunity, and thank you for taking care of women's sports.
Well,
Obviously, it's near and dear to my heart.
It's. I'll bet you're going to be a good athlete, right?
Yes.
Are you good now? Very good. What sport do you play other than the football?
Oh my God, this fucking guy. Oh, you got to keep, I got to keep women's sports. All right. Amon Khalif wins Olympic gold boxing amidst false gender claims. This is from ESPN. Buddy, why are we going on the Deadman's podcast to tell lies? And The Undertaker just agrees with him. The Undertaker is an idiot. I'm sorry. These are easy things to find out. You can just look these up. What a lib. Yeah, bro's crying. Yeah, dude, I'm pointing out facts, and I'm sorry if the facts hurt your feelings, but what Trump and Undertaker are saying are just not true. And I'm sorry, but if you're playing identity politics, maybe make sure they're accurate, right? Because you look like an idiot. You look like somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and this room seems to be full of it. And I don't mean Taker's daughter. I don't. She's a child. She's a child sitting with her father near the president. If my dad was interviewing Donald Trump when I was 12, however old she is, I'd probably be in the room too, right? And I understand. She's not going to speak out. That's cool. It's cool. She's a kid. But the fact that The Undertaker has a fully developed adult brain with or without CTE, and maybe we get that the CTE defense later, because this dude is a dumbass.
Football.
So right now I'm just playing football because it takes up a lot of my time. But I think when I get to school, I think I'm gonna start playing volleyball.
What position do you play in football?
Quarterback.
Whoa, that's good. And you have good hands for that, I see, huh?
She's got a pretty good arm.
She's got a little bit of an arm, huh? That's
Dude, that's weird. You got good hands? Why did you notice the hands of a child? That's weird.
good. Well, I'll be watching, okay? I'll be watching.
It'll be in the Olympics in 2028.
Now, you have to do me a favor. Tell your father that we had a great time. We're sitting down, and we look a little bit equal. Tell your father not to show any picture where we're standing up together because I don't want to look like a small person. Do you understand? Will you tell
That's
him
a
that?
shoot, by the way.
You'll
He does
watch
not
that
want
from me?
that.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Do you understand that, everybody? Because I've never felt that small before. Anyway, it was great, fellas. Great.
Thank you.
Yo, does Trump have I don't know if it was true, right? But I saw like this thing where they had put a mat down before Trump sat on a white couch on Fox News. Does he have something behind him here? I can't tell. It might be his jacket. But just checking on it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're something very special. Take care of yourself.
We really appreciate it. Thank
We'll
you.
see you again.
Oh no, there's something. It looks like there's something under Trump.
See you again. Get out and vote.
Thanks for the follow.
Thank you
Please,
very
yes,
much.
everyone.
That was fun.
Is he gonna stand? Oh, they cut it before he stand up.
What?
Who would have ever thought?
Anything else? Oh wait, they're gonna talk. They're gonna do it during the ad read. Hold on. What are they
Who
talking
would have
about?
ever thought?
Not me.
Well, buddy, congratulations.
Oh.
And
Did
there's
that
only
just
one-
happen?
That just happened. The President of the United States. And thank you, Happy Dad, for helping support this podcast. And man, there's only one way to celebrate this.
With a warm seltzer. I agree.
Cheers,
Thanks,
brother.
brother.
Dude, that was painful. Are they gonna finish? Are they doing an ad read or are they talking about this?
Thanks, Happy Dad.
Man, that's good.
We're going to have a good time tonight.
Yes, we are.
All right, that's it. That's the Undertaker's podcast with Donald Trump. God, it was not entertaining. I gotta be honest. That was pretty sauceless. The Undertaker is a terrible interviewer. Donald Trump just is not the king. Is not as zesty as he once was. He's not as funny. He's just like, I don't mean like his racist stuff is funny, but like he would talking about batteries and how he's best friends with Hannibal Lecter. He's a great guy. That's funny. It's dementia. He's got Joe Biden brain. But this was meh. This was very meh. I don't know who this was for, right? I mean, I guess if you wanted to see that Trump, or if you wanted to see Undertaker have gone an anti-trans rant, you could do that, sure. But this thing was whack. Let's look at this. I'm sure the comments are tremendous. Trump and Harris in a Hell in a Cell. Trump is really asking the questions a fan would ask. Yeah, dude, he's a fanboy. That's it. Do-rag Taker. It's not a do-rag. If 20 years ago you told me that Trump was president and Undertaker was going to interview him, I thought you were crazy, but here we are. Yep. Trump is interviewing Taker. Yeah, he really like upstaged Taker. Yeah, this was them kissing for an hour. Like they just was like, "You're the best." No, you're the best. I love you. You're so good. Like that's what it was. Jim Cornette melted ice cream in the Texas heat. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm actually like. I'm sorry. Like this was sauceless, absolutely. And I cannot wait for Jim Cornette's take on this. Jim Cornette is actually going to be funny. I cannot wait. This next week that I get to when I react to Jim Cornette, he's gonna talk about like by far one of the best episodes of Dynamite that they've had in quite a long time. And that's gonna be a hell of a show. Hell of a show. So damn guys. Let's see anything else going on here. Trump Haystacks Calhoun reference. Dude knows his wrestling. Oh God. When Midian was on the show, we don't talk about politics. Oh, that's kind of funny. I didn't know that. Hilarious how Trump turned this into an interview Taker. He's fascinated by wrestling. Yeah, do you speak to The Rock occasionally? Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you speak to The Rock? Yeah, they just wrestled in April. Trump doesn't follow the product. He's a nerd. Folks, thank you all so much for hanging out today and watching this not very entertaining podcast. But I just want to say, as always, pro wrestling is predetermined. Your life isn't. Go do something great today. Maybe that thing is not platform or racist. God damn it, Undertaker.